Hello students, hope you are all doing well. In today's session, we'll be discussing the differences between Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969 and the Competition Act 2002 and the lacuna that exists in the Competition Act 2002. But before discussing the differences, we must know why the Competition Act 2002 was enacted when we already had the MRTP Act 1969 in force. As we all know, in 1991, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, in short LPG, was introduced in India. The MRTP Act 1969 was not able to cope with the economy progress that India was witnessing. The MRTP Act 1969 focused more on curbing the competition, but India needed a legislation that promotes the competition. Legislator perceived this problem and considered enacting a new legislation to regulate competition. Accordingly, the high level committee was formed by the government in 1999 to give a report on the existing competition law and policy and to provide recommendations to strengthen the competition law and policy in India. Consequently, the committee proposed that MRTP Act 1969 needs to be repealed and a new legislation has to be introduced. Thus, the Competition Act 2002 was enforced. Now that we have understood the background, let's move on to the differences between the MRTP Act 1969 and the Competition Act 2002. The crucial differences is that the MRTP Act 1969 frowned upon the dominant entity, whereas the current Competition Act 2002 frowns upon the abuse of dominance. To be more precise, dominance is per se not bad under the Competition Act 2002 and abuse of dominance is bad. Dominance was considered unlawful under the MRTP Act 1969, but under the Competition Act 2002, only abuse of dominance is unlawful. I hope the first difference is understood. Now let's move on to the next difference. The second difference is with respect to per se rule and rule of reason. Before understanding the difference, we must know what is per se and what is rule of reason. It is the Harvard School that came up with per se rule. According to per se rule, an agreement is anti-competitive if on face of it or prima facie it is either horizontal or a vertical agreement. Per se rule consider every horizontal and every vertical agreement as unlawful without weighing the pro-competitive effects. For instance, let's consider a group of cement manufacturers coming together and deciding to reduce the price of the cement. It will be considered as anti-competitive as it is a horizontal agreement even when it is benefiting consumers at large. Per se rule does not consider consumer welfare. Moving on to the rule of reason, each and every horizontal and vertical arrangement is weighed based on their anti-competitive and pro-competitive effects. If anti-competitive factors outweighs pro-competitive factors, then the agreement is unlawful. And if, on the other hand, pro-competitive factors outweighs the anti-competitive factors, then the agreement is lawful. Continuing with the differences, anti-competitive practices, be it horizontal or vertical agreements, were regulated applying per se rule under MRTP Act 1969. However, under the Competition Act 2002, horizontal agreements attract per se rule and vertical agreements attract rule of reason. Therefore, we can say that MRTP Act 1969 is prohibitive in nature and the Competition Act 2002 is promotive in nature. Next difference is with respect to jurisdiction. MRTP Act 1969 did not have extraterritorial jurisdiction, but the Competition Act 2002 has extraterritorial provisions. By invoking effects doctrine, the Competition Commission of India can take cognizance of any anti-competitive practices without any geographical limit as long as the appreciable adverse effect on competition or AAEC are felt in India. The fourth difference between the acts is that under the MRTP Act 1969, DG had suo motu powers to investigate, but under the Competition Act 2002, DG has no suo motu powers. However, the Competition Commission of India has suo motu powers. Next difference is that the MRTP Act 1969 did not have any provisions to regulate mergers and acquisitions. However, the Competition Act 2002 regulates combinations, that is, mergers and acquisitions under Section 5. The last important difference is that MRTP Act 1969 had no leniency provisions, but Competition Act 2002 has provisions related to the leniency to regulate cartels in a better fashion. These are five significant differences between the MRTP Act 1969 and the Competition Act 2002. I hope you all understood the differences. Now we'll try to look into the lacuna or the grey areas of the Competition Act 2002. We all know that initially we had the MRTP Act 1969 and now we have Competition Act 2002. In the Competition Act 2002, it is adequate to regulate all the competition concerns, or is there any scope of improvement in the legislation is the question. Of course, Competition Act 2002 is better at promoting competition compared to MRTP Act 1969, but the act has room for improvement. Some of the competitive concerns that are not covered under the Competition Act 2002 are collective dominance, hub and spokes cartel, and environmental impact. The first concern is with respect to collective dominance. Under Section 4 of the Act, dominance is being regulated. Abuse of dominance by a single entity or a group entity, but not a group of entities. Next concern is with respect to hub and spokes cartel. Hub and spokes cartel is a type of cartel that is both horizontal and vertical. The Competition Act 2002 currently regulates an agreement that is either horizontal or vertical, but not when there is a combination of both horizontal and vertical. So, hub and spokes cartel, being both horizontal and vertical, is not presently being regulated. The last concern is that environmental factors are not being covered under the Act. For instance, if there are any horizontal agreements that promote environmental sustainability or promote sustainable development, such agreements are still considered unlawful. It's high time that environmental concerns are covered under the Competition Act 2002. One thing that's worth mentioning is Competition Act Amendment Bill 2019 was supposed to come into force, but the bill died on the floor of the Parliament. Again, in the month of August 2022, the Competition Act Amendment Bill was introduced on the floor of Lok Sabha. As of February 2023, the bill isn't yet passed. Now, we should wait and watch if the bill gets passed. The amendment bill covers collective dominance and hub and spokes cartel, which is really a good improvement. However, environmental concerns are still not finding their place in the Act. The Indian competition law regime keeps changing as per the growth of our economy. From MRTP Act 1969 to Competition Act 2002, India has come a long way in regulating and promoting competition, but still have a longer way to go. I hope you will follow and know whether the Competition Act Amendment Bill 2022 has been or will be passed in the future or not. Thank you for listening to me.